Hello, everybody with me? How you doing this evening? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. For those of you that don't know, my name is Will Johnson. My website is uniteamericafirst.com. And I'm going to ask everybody right off the bat here, please share this no matter how you're watching this or even listening to this. Live right now on my podcast as well. Please connect with me. If you go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com, you want to connect with me on my podcast, just scroll down on the front page and you'll see it right there, big as day. You can click on it, you can connect with me. I'm live on Podbean right now, which is where my podcast comes from originally, but it goes out to all the other platforms that you listen to. So, but anyways, let's get on with it. Ooh, wee. You would think. We think, right? You would think that at some point the left would just get it and be like, well, you know what? We can't continue to lie to the American people this way. We just can't do it. It's not working, right? But they don't get it. They continue to lie to every last one of us, and they still, like I'm always telling you, they expect us to believe it. They expect us not even to question it. And then they find these fake fact checkers to come in and say, oh, that's not real. That's not valid. That is misinformation. That is disinformation. They do it with everything, especially with factual stuff. They do it all the time. I've been dinged with it. Let me give you one example before we get on with tonight's episode. On my website, there was an article on my website, and I put it in, I have writers that write for my website. And there was even a statement that I said, BLM had an event, and they told all the white people that were in the front and in the midway that they need to get behind all the black people. There was a video of it. The fake fact checker said it wasn't true, when there was a video where they actually did that. Well, anyways, the fake fact checkers came along and said it wasn't true. You can't prove it. In which I showed, here's the video. I said, here's the video. They said it's not. You're misleading. They told them to get in the back. The whole point is that they lie, just like the FBI, the DOJ, the White House. It's coming out that the Biden administration knew that the FBI was at some point going to raid Mar-a-Lago, President Trump's home in Florida. They knew it. It's now to the point to where, like, okay, well, how do we hide this? And they're trying to deflect. They're trying to make it look like that this is not political. When we all know it's political. I mean, every single person know that this is political. And for anyone that, when they go on the telly and they tell everyone that it's not political, only President Trump is trying to make this political, they are literally lying. Why in the world would they do this? Why did Biden sign off on it? Seriously, listen to what Tucker says, because Tucker he spills the bean, and it's so repulsive. This is exactly what a tyrannical government looks like. Completely.
So when the FBI raided the home of Donald Trump, it was pretty obvious to us that this was the Biden administration ordering it. Oh no, separation of agencies, they said. We didn't coordinate this with DOJ. Well, of course they did. Donald Trump is likely running for president again. They want to stop him. This is what they do in the third world. If you have a political opponent, you just imprison him. So
exactly, just what I said, a tyrannical government. That's exactly what we're seeing. That's exactly what's happening. A tyrannical government, and they're trying to find some kind of way to put the political opponent in jail.
So now proof is accumulating that that's exactly what happened. The website Just the News just published a letter from Deborah Wall, who runs the National Archives, to Donald Trump attorney Evan Corcoran. Wall wrote in April this, quote, I've decided not to honor the former president's protective claim of privilege. The counsel to the president has informed me that in light of the particular circumstances presented here, President Biden defers to my determination in consultation with the Assistant Attorney General for the Office of Legal Counsel regarding whether or not I should uphold the former president's purported protective assertion of executive privilege. That's how they write in Washington. Ugh, it's excruciating. Then she continued. Accordingly, the archives will provide the FBI access to the records in question as requested by the incumbent president beginning as early as Thursday, May 12, 2022. So what this is confirmation that the White House counsel's office, quote, affirming a request from the Department of Justice supported by an FBI letterhead memorandum, demanded that the National Archives, quote, provide the FBI access to the 15 boxes for its review within 7 days. That was in April. In other words, Joe Biden's administration signed off on all of this months ago, and Merrick Garland just executed it. Obviously.
So, when the Biden administration came out and said that we had no idea that they were going to raid President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, that's true, right? Because they didn't know when they were going to do it. They knew at some point it was going to happen, but they were like, well, don't tell us when it's going to happen so we can come out and tell the American people, well, we didn't know when that they were going to raid them, right? They knew at some point, but they lied. Ultimately, what it all comes down to is that they lied to every last one of us, and they wanted all of us to believe that President Trump was holding secret documents, security documents, classified documents, just documents, period. They want all of us to believe that he was holding these documents when he shouldn't have been holding them. The crazy thing is here, and you know what, for some reason, it cannot get through the skull, the thick skull of the left. They can't get it through their thick skulls. Because, see, their skull is so thick, it doesn't leave much room for anything else. It's so thick that when you tell them that the FBI knew what documents that they had, all of them knew. They already knew. They knew exactly where they go. You remember back in June, they went in and got the 15 boxes. Remember? The archives, they had them all. And then the Biden administration made sure that President Trump could not have executive privileges when it comes to this. Why would he do that? Why would Joe Biden do that? Joe Biden is he's terrified of President Trump returning. That's what it all comes down to. So then you have these idiots on the Communist News Network. And they're talking about President Trump and his lawyers. And they're saying that the lawyers are making stuff up, saying that this is all political. They're saying that Trump's lawyers are making it all political. And they're saying that it's not political. It's 100% political. The Communist News Network, their whole agenda, their whole thing has been, how can we take down President Trump? That's all that they did. Every single day, there was not a single day that the Communist News Network did not go, even now, where they don't have Trump in their mouths. There's not a single day. Listen to what they say here. And what's really amazing about this particular clip here is how they talk about OAN. They literally trying to make everyone believe that OAN is not credible, that OAN is not a valid news organization, but they are. This is bizarre. Listen to this.
Well, Anderson, Trump is steering this ship, and it's clear that he wants this to be a political battle and not a legal one. But
it is a political battle. It is a political. They want it to be a legal battle because they tried to put President Trump in jail. For all you trolls out there, you're idiots. You're a bunch of idiots. You're going based on feelings. You're going based on what they told you. And again, if I ask the question of a liberal troll out there, what law did they break? What law did President Trump break? Not the way you feel. Tell me what law he broke. The documents? What are those documents? So tomorrow they're supposedly releasing the affidavit. We'll see what's going to happen tomorrow by noon, to my understanding. But listen to this.
But allies that we've talked to are growing concerned over this strategy, as well as the competence of Trump's legal team, particularly as many of them have come to believe that Trump could be in real legal jeopardy. Now, this concern over...
You remember?
Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia,
it was like that every single day. President Trump could be in legal jeopardy. Legal jeopardy. Legal jeopardy. Legal jeopardy. Every single day it was legal jeopardy. Remember that? The Mueller report. The Mueller report. Legal jeopardy. Remember that they said that day in and day out, over and over, and there was never anything there. So why should we start believing these people now? See, they do this to try to get people worked up and try to make it look like President Trump is a criminal. That's their whole agenda here.
That Trump could be in real legal jeopardy. Now, this concern over Trump's legal team started almost immediately after the search. Sources pointing to an exchange between a Fox TV host who is a Trump ally and one of Trump's attorneys, Christina Bobb, in which this Trump ally grilled Bobb over the legal strategy, and it seemed as though Bobb did not have a lot of real answers. And just a reminder here, Bobb is a former TV host herself at One America News, the right-wing pro-Trump network, and she has become...
So you hear this? American News, the right-wing pro-Trump network, and the Communist News Network, or the Clinton News Network, right? They are the anti-American, anti-Trump, anti-God network. I think we all can agree to that, can we not?
In the face of this legal team, mainly from speaking on conservative media and propagating these conspiracy theories. The other red flag that a lot of these allies raised to us was the fact that the legal team did not put anything forward in the way of motions.
Listen to this. See, they're concerned about President Trump's legal team, the way they brought the information from, and now they're trying to discredit President Trump's legal team because it's not the route that they want President Trump's legal team to go. See, think about this. They want President Trump's legal team to do what they want. That's what all this is about. They want the legal team to be like, oh my goodness, it's like this could put Trump in jail. But see, the legal team, like there's nothing there. And they're upset about it because that's not the route that they're going. And they shouldn't. But listen what she says.
For 2 weeks. And once they did, it was riddled with legal errors. It was widely criticized by both sides of the aisle.
Both sides of the aisle. She goes back to Liz Cheney, Adam Kissinger. That's not both sides of the aisle. This is stupidity. These people are ignorant beyond belief.
Experts, it read like a political document. And again,
you hear that? It read like I'm sorry, I had to stop it. She says it read like a political document because this is all political. We're in the political season. It's 100% political. Any judge that looks at this and be like, this is all political. Why? No, we're throwing it out. That's what should happen here. What y'all did to President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, this is 100% political because you're trying to fish for something. You're fishing in a pond with no water, trying to catch fish. That's exactly what they're doing here.
And this is coming at a time where we're hearing from a lot of these people who are close to Trump who believe he could be in legal jeopardy.
So wait a minute. I should have known this, but one of his attorneys, the one who's been on TV a lot, she comes from OAN?
Yeah, look at the smirk on her face. And look at him. Like OAN is less credible than CNN. I mean, this is priceless here. This is priceless. Listen to this.
That's where he found her?
That's right. Yep. She is one of several people who used to work at OAN who now works for Donald Trump, but she is one of his lawyers that is representing him. She is the one who you have seen consistently on conservative news networks talking about this. She's also the one who, when she was at OAN, was a big propagator of the big lie, talking about Giuliani promoting those things.
Listen to this. I mean, this is priceless here. The Communist News Network literally calling OAN a discreditable network. I mean, where Communist News Network, they constantly lie to everybody.
During the election.
I don't know why I'm surprised, but it just stuns me that the former president of the United States, in his inner circle of attorneys, as he is facing what seems to be a pretty serious thing, is relying on a former OAN personage. That's news to me.
Oh, it's news to him. See, y'all, am I the only one seeing that? I'm like, really? They're actually sitting there saying that they're more credible. That's what they're alluding to, that they're more credible than OAN. And because she was un-OAN, she's not credible. That's exactly what they're alluding to. So, okay, let me get on with some of this socialism that they're trying to push onto all of us in this country, because they're idiots, right? I'm sorry, I have another one for you here. Karine Jean-Pierre, I like saying like that because that's how Tucker says it. She gets irritated in these press conferences because she looks like an idiot. She sounds like an idiot. For the most part, she is an idiot, right? To my understanding. So with her being asked these questions about who's going to pay for it, where's the money going to come from, she's getting agitated because she doesn't know where the money's coming from. She's talking about, well, we need to see. What do you mean we need to see? So if I go to the bank and I ask the bank if I go to the bank and I say I want to get a loan, and they say, well, how are you going to pay for this? I don't know. We'll have to see. Right? Seriously, that's literally what she's saying. But in this case, people just go get loans and then we pay for it. We're going to see how much we need to squeeze out of the American people to pay for this. And all they've done, they're purchasing votes. That's all they're doing here. They're purchasing votes. 100%. You can't tell me that this close to the midterm election, then all of a sudden they do this. Talking about it's a campaign promise, right? Listen to this.
So you could say this is how much it's going to cost if everyone who is eligible applies.
I mean, we just don't have a number to share at this time.
Why don't you?
Look, the secretary, the UN ambassador, the former UN ambassador spoke to this yesterday. We just have to see. It is a process that we just need to take a look before we can answer that question. We just don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
But I guess what I'm struggling with, and I think some of my colleagues have asked about, is
you asked the same question yesterday. This is nothing new.
We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Who's going to pay for it? I mean, if they asked the question yesterday and they didn't get an answer yesterday, don't you think they're going to ask the question today? I mean, this is like common sense 101. They're going to ask the question. You didn't tell us yesterday how they're going to pay for this. Who's going to pay for it, right? We already know the answer. We just need to hear it out the donkey's mouth, right? But she don't want to say it. She don't want to say it. All she had to do is say, all of you sitting in this room that paid your debt, that had your student loan, and you agreed to pay your student loan, all of you are going to have to pay for it. That's who's going to pay for it. All of you and everybody else that pay taxes in America, you're going to have to pay for it. So all of the people that didn't even go to college because they never could afford it, guess what? You're going to pay for someone else's college now. This is ridiculous, people. And there's people that have never gone to college and become millionaires, right? The whole college thing has become a total scam. It is a money pit. And some people don't like to hear that, but it's true. I've taken out student loans, right? But it's a money pit. It is a money pit. And she's talking about, well, we don't know. We have to see. Are you kidding me?
The UN ambassador, the former UN ambassador spoke to this yesterday. We just have to see. It is a process that we just need to take a look before we can answer that question. We just don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
But I guess what I'm struggling with, and I think some of my colleagues have asked about, is
you asked the same question yesterday. This is nothing new, right? This is a summary.
Oh,
okay, but you picked up on what he was saying. So
I was going to say, if you don't know how much it's going to cost, how can you guarantee that it's going to be paid for, even if you're defining paid for in a way that some of us have questions?
You hear that? She won't even talk about how it's going to get paid for. And that's for anything, right? That's for anything that they do. They can't talk. She don't want to talk about how much it's going to cost the American people. You know why? Because this is socialism. This is what socialism looks like. We're seeing it. This is the Democrat Socialist Party in America. They're not the Democrat Party, and there's nothing democratic about them at all. They are the Socialist Democrat Party. And then she gets irritated because listen, if you ask somebody a question, like supposedly the press secretary here, you ask her a question today, she doesn't give you an answer, so you would expect it to have a answer tomorrow. So when the next day come, guess what? You get to ask the question. But here, listen to this interaction, because apparently she's asked a question again, and she says you're being disrespectful. You're being disrespectful. Well, the American people want to know the questions. People want to know the answers to these questions. People want to know. And now these reporters in the room, now they're starting to realize that they were on the wrong team all along. They were beating up President Trump and thinking that it was going to be so much better. Again, you know what it was? They want Trump's America without Trump. That's what these Democrats want. They want Trump's America. They want it to where everything was great. Everything was getting better. America, make America great again. That's what they want, but they didn't want it under Trump. That's why they have this whole movement right now to try to discredit President Trump, discredit the United States of America, take down America, destroy this nation, and they're all doing it right now. And then she's going to get upset because she has to answer a question.
Matt, we can go go back and forth on it. We can go back and forth on it. I was supposed to go to Chris in the back and I skipped him, so I'm going to go back to Chris.
My question is about the marriage bill that is in the Senate.
You're not being respectful. Go ahead. To your colleagues, to your own colleagues. As you see, I jumped.
You're not being respectful. I mean, at what point has she been respectful? If someone's asking a question, then at least give the reporter an answer. Or at least saying, you know what, I'm too stupid to know the answer, but I'll find out tomorrow. But guess what? You come back tomorrow and ask me the same question, I'm still not going to answer it. What is the job of the press secretary? Somebody please tell me. Apparently, I missed the memo on that one.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Respect your colleagues. Respect your colleagues. Go ahead, Chris.
My question is, will the president reach out to Senator Schumer about scheduling a vote on that marriage bill when the lawmakers return from...
I'm sorry, Chris, you're going to have to start from the beginning because there was some disrespect happening.
This is the legislation of...
You know what? All she had to do is say, you have to start from the beginning because I couldn't hear everything that you were saying. And see, she's edging it on by being disrespectful herself. Talking about there was some disrespect going on. She's agitated because she doesn't want to ask a question she doesn't know the answer to. That's what it comes down to.
For lawmakers upon they left upon Senate recess.
You're being disrespectful. Go ahead.
The marriage bill. Will Senator Schumer reach out for will the president reach out to Senator Schumer for a vote on the legislation when lawmakers?
If you're not capable of doing the job, then maybe you should not do the job. Just answer the question. And you know what? I'm glad to hear. And they probably won't allow that lady in the background. They probably won't allow her to go back in there because there was one young lady from OAN that was asking these tough questions, and then they wouldn't let her back in there. They made her sit in the back of the room, and then they did. And at one point, they didn't want to give her a chair. Someone had to bring a chair. But I want y'all to listen to this because this is on them talking about you paying for somebody else's debt. I have debt right now. I mean, I'm struggling to pay my debt. People support me, right? People support me. But hey, you know what? I'm struggling to pay the debt too, right? We're all in this, right? Well, it's happening to all of us right now. But they're trying to act like paying off other people's debt is going to bring down the deficit. You understand what I'm saying? They're going to tax us more because apparently when they did this whole student loan debt forgiveness, they said it was going to be $300 billion. $300 billion going to be passed on to you and I. $300 billion. That's what they were initially saying. But come to find out, it's probably going to end up being right around $1 trillion. Listen to this.
Thanks. Madam Ambassador, I have a couple of questions for you. One, I want to get your general response to this overwhelming chorus of critics, Republicans right now, who say this is unfair, that there are people who decided to not go to college because they couldn't pay for it. There are people who decided to join the armed forces in lieu of going to college because they couldn't pay for it. And this leaves them behind. Is there inaccuracy in any of that?
Yes, there is inaccuracy, but there's also a double standard. And this is a debate we are happy to have. First of all, Republicans didn't complain when certain small businesses during the pandemic got extraordinary financial relief and without having to pay back those loans.
You know what? Y'all hear this? Y'all hear this? So the businesses that they shut down, businesses that keep the economy going so that people can pay their bills, pay their loans, right? They're trying to equate those the same thing of just saying, hey, You took out the student loans, so guess what? You don't have to pay anything. If they didn't do what they did during that time, then people would have still been working. You understand what I'm telling you? They took advantage of that. They took advantage of the American people, and look what they did. Businesses, keeping businesses open is how people will be able to pay for the light bill, be able to pay for the roof over their head, be able to pay for the student loans that they have. But they didn't want that to happen. And now they're trying to put it off to my, well, they did it for business, and Republicans didn't say anything because it was helping the economy. It helped the people pay the loans. It doesn't, it's really simple here. It's really simple here. But they're trying to act stern like, oh, they're fighting for that, but they don't want to fight for people don't want to pay their student loans. People weren't paying their student loans before we got to that point. And they were hoping, because Joe Brandon put this whole campaign promise out there saying that we're going to take all your debt away. We're going to pay for all of it, just like socialists have done in the past.
But when some businesses needed it and other businesses didn't need it. This is the same principle. We have a country where we all benefit, where the middle and working class are doing well. This relief will be targeted to those who need it most. As I said, 90% of those who will benefit earn less than $75,000 a year. So this is...
You hear that, $75,000, but it's $125,000. It's actually $125,000. You mean to tell me that people that make $125,000 a year, they can't pay on their student loan? They can't do that? How much is their student loan a month? How much is it a month? Let's say it's $200 a month. You talking about, what is that, $2,400 a year? Why can't they pay for it? Someone tell me, why can't they pay for it? Why not? If they're making $125,000 a year. This is socialism. That's all this is, socialism, and they're buying votes.
This is not a giveaway to rich people. This is not any of the things that Republican critics have charged. Yes, those who have paid their loans back deserve to be credited. That's fantastic. That's to their credit. But that doesn't mean that those who are, for whatever reason, unable to pay back their loans, like, 1/3 of people have debt and no college degree.
For whatever reason, right? They cause this problem. They cause every single problem that we have in this country. They cause 90% of the problems that we have in this nation. 90% of the problems. People didn't pay their loans because they didn't want to. And a lot of them, I've known some people say, well, I'm going to see if Biden is going to do this debt forgiveness, and I'm not going to pay it and wait until then. But see, the issue here is that the socialist, communist, Democrats, they're upset because Biden didn't go far enough. They wanted Joe Brandon to completely remove all the student loan debt. 100%. They're not happy still.
That doesn't mean that because some were able to do so, nobody should help those who weren't. By that logic, we wouldn't help anybody in this country.
How much will this cost? How much will Americans have to pay on this price tag overall?
Well, that remains to be determined, and it will be a function of...
It remains to be determined? Are you serious right now? It remains to be determined? Did they not do the math before they pulled the trigger on this? Did they not do the math on it? Oh, wait a minute. Math is racist. So, of course, they're not going to do the math on it. How do you not know? If they say 2/3 of the people have student loans and they need help, can't y'all figure out the math on that? Isn't there like a database somewhere that y'all can look into, tap into, and say, hey, this many people are going to need it? So you can have these answers? Again, they don't want to answer it.
Of eligible borrowers actually take up this opportunity.
300 billion?
We'll see when they take up the opportunity. We'll be able to give you a much better sense
but are
of
those
that.
Numbers ballpark at this point?
I think it depends on the numbers. Like, unfortunately, and we're here to encourage as many people to take it up as possible. If 43 million borrowers take it up, that'll be different than if 50% of those 43 million take it up.
If it is 43 million, if I could just follow on, if the full number of eligible borrowers do take advantage of the program, what would the cost be?
I can't give you that off the top of my head.
And just
wait. Sorry.
Can't give it to you off the top of my head. So, am I to believe the stuff that you're doing is positive? Am I to believe that? Because I don't. Nothing. Let me ask y'all a question. And I've asked this question multiple times in the past. Name one thing that the Democrats have done that have benefited the American people as a whole. Because even them doing this doesn't benefit the American people as a whole. This is going to hurt the American people. So I ask the question again. What have they done that the American people have benefited? Let me give you an example. When President Trump was in office, the policies he was doing with these companies, that benefited the entire nation because more people were working. People with 401ks were looking really peachy. Everyone was happy, right? Except for the Democrats, they hate it, right? They hate President Trump because he was doing positive things. But again, he didn't do what they're doing now is not positive for the nation. There's not a single thing that the Democrats have done. I can't think of anything. Historically, nothing. Nothing. And the only reason, and if you want to talk about historically, when they talk about the Civil Rights Act, the only reason why they did that is because they knew that they could pull the trigger on it and get black people to think that they were doing something for them when it was the Republicans all along pushing for it. So they use it to their advantage, just like they did right now with this student loan debt, saying, look, everybody, when you go to vote, remember the $10,000 that I just gave you, the $10,000 for that lever for you to pull it. That's exactly what this is all about. This country cannot survive with socialism 101. The country cannot survive with socialism. It cannot happen. They're going to literally destroy the country. And these socialists, they are on the rise. Look at this one here. Total socialists. And they're in here clapping. They're literally, I'm telling you, they're not even hiding it any longer. They're not hiding the fact that they want socialism. And socialism has destroyed every nation in the past. Capitalism is the reason why the United States of America is the greatest nation on the earth. It's the reason why everybody wants to get to America. Not because of socialism, because of capitalism.
I know we're saving the speeches for a little later, but today we really proved that socialism wins.
You hear this? You hear this? They're cheering on. Socialism wins. Socialism wins. All right here. All right in your face. They're not hiding it. Right in your face.
Anywhere. We are not going anywhere, and we will not stop until we see a socialist slate across this city.
You hear this? And people talk to me send me messages all the time saying, well, they're not going to be able to do socialism. They're not doing it. They're not doing it. They're not doing it. They're not doing it. And she won her primary as a Democrat socialist. She won her primary. And that's exactly what they want. They want socialism across the nation. I don't know how many times I have to tell people. And you know what? I tell it because there's some people out there that still deny it. They're still denying it. Let me circle back real quick if I can. Let me circle back here if I can. Let me circle back. The FBI. You remember the FBI? Come to find out, the FBI was actually working with Facebook and Twitter to get them to censor the American people. So this tells me, this is another confirmation that the federal government went to the tech companies to get them to censor the American people. And in this case, they did it over the Hunter Biden laptop. And originally when the Hunter Biden laptop came out and people were talking about it and they were getting removed here and there, I didn't know that much information about it. I still don't try to look at any of the stuff on the laptop. It's already been confirmed that it's a whole bunch of corruption on there. There's a whole bunch of connections with other countries and Joe Biden himself. It's already been out there. They've already publicized it. The point is that the federal government was working with the tech companies to censor you from talking about it. You should be able to say everything you want. And then listen, I want y'all to listen to what he says here. Because he actually says the FBI came to them. Not him directly, of course. You can say, no, it didn't come to me directly, but, the FBI did come. And they talked to, I guess, people at the location of the tech company that he works for, right? And so he talked to the FBI talked to him and said, hey, there's going to be some information. There's going to be a dump of information. Y'all kind of need to, suppress it. Y'all need to remove it, call it disinformation, do what you want. But he says that the information, they don't actually block information. They use the fake fact checkers, the third-party fake fact checkers to do it for them because they say that they're not in the business of doing it. But they adhere to what the fake fact checkers do. So a fake fact checker can come along and say, you did X, Y, Z, and it's, okay, we'll implement it. So they do it. He's lying. But listen to this. This is when he was on Joe Rogan.
How do you guys handle things when they're a big news item that's controversial? Like there was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
We have that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, you should be on high alert. There was we thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice.
Y'all hear that? They said there was Russian propaganda.
Russia, Russia, Russia.
In the 2016 election.
Russia, Russia, Russia.
And there absolutely was Russian propaganda in the 2016 election, and it was pushed by the FBI.
Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia, 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 Russia.
It was pushed by the FBI. This all came out. So yes, there was. So now the FBI comes to him. I'm trying not to say his name because you know what they'll do. The FBI comes to him and say, well, you know what? We need to get you to censor the American people. And he actually calls Twitter out for exactly the corruption, the blatant corruption that Twitter's been doing. Listen.
We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is we have, if something is reported to us as potentially misinformation, important misinformation, we also have this third-party fact-checking program.
Third-party fake fact-checking programs. You hear this? The third-party fake-checking. But then they implement what these fake fact-checkers say. So what's the point?
Because we don't want to be deciding what's true and false.
Oh, really? But the fake fact-checkers will do it for you, and then you'll implement it. The fake fact-checkers actually have checked somebody based on scripture from the Bible. They said it was false information, misleading. Actually, people have taken scripture from the Bible and put it on Facebook, and then because of the fake fact checkers, they said it was misleading disinformation, but they allow it to take place.
And for I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false, the distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were...
You heard it? The distribution on Facebook was decreased, meaning they were censoring. And that's what the FBI wanted them to do. The federal government went to them and say, hey, censor the American people about this factual story. It was a factual story, and it still is today. It was factual.
We're still allowed to share it. So you could still share it. You could still consume it.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
it got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So
really?
Fewer people saw it than would have otherwise.
See? They do it all the time. They do this all the time. Fewer people see it because it was something that the federal government went to them and say, hey, don't allow people to see it. So them to try to say that they're not, being a proxy for the federal government to censor the American people, we'll just, censor it a little bit. We'll let a few people see it, but we won't let multiple people see it because they didn't want to do like they did in 2016, right? That's what they're saying.
So it definitely...
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful. But basically... a lot of people were still able to share it. We got a lot of complaints that was the case. Obviously this is
people complaining because they were sharing factual information. Do y'all hear this? People were complaining. Just like today, they still complain if you share factual information. And why does the government get to come in and tell us what is factual and what is not factual? Why does the government get to do that? Why did they do this? The FBI did it to protect Hunter Biden and Joe Biden.
It's a hyper-political issue, so depending on what side of the political spectrum, you either think we didn't censor it enough or censored it way too much. But we weren't sort of as black and white about it as Twitter. We just kind of thought, hey, look, if the FBI, which I still view as a legitimate institution in this country, it's like very professional law enforcement, if they come to us and tell us that we need to be on guard about something, then I want to take that seriously.
Did they specifically say you need to be on guard about that story?
No, I don't remember if it was that specifically, but it basically fit the pattern.
Wow. I mean, truly, wow. I mean, wow. That's a bit much, don't you think? I mean, it's a bit much. I mean, I've asked this question a few times. Where are these top lawyers and these top law firms? They could probably have the potential of making millions, if not billions of dollars, because the federal government literally went to these tech companies, used the tech companies as a proxy to censor the American people. And I'm not just really I just don't understand it, because if it was the other way around, the ACLU, I mean, right there, the ACLU, this should be something the ACLU should be all over. But for some reason, they're not. Right? You really should be asking that question. Why aren't they? Because it's been completely all in everybody's face that the federal government used the tech companies as a proxy server to attack the American people's free speech. It's been all over. It's been all over. Okay. We're here at the end. I want to thank everyone for being with me. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Thank you so much for not being afraid to hit the share button on this. Let me just take a quick look and see if I can see. Right now, there's 271 shares on Facebook. Can y'all do me a favor? Can y'all hit the share button? It doesn't show me the share amounts on the other platforms like on YouTube or anything, because YouTube is kind of, it's different, right? And the other platforms are different. We're live on Rumble as well. I appreciate anyone, if you bless me with a Rumble rant, I would greatly appreciate it, because that's how I keep the Rumble channel up, because of your support. Okay, just putting that out there. And I'm also live on Getter. I'm live on Getter. Getter makes it to where you can share the videos on Getter really easy as well. So for everyone that's watching on Getter right now, please share. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, let me say thank you to a few people. Herman Kane, thank you so much for the stars. Thank you so much, sir. And then Michelle, thank you so much for the stars. Kathy, thank you. Laura, thank you. Joanne, thank you. Dana, thank you. Robert, I appreciate it. And Victoria, thank you for the Cash App. Thank you for the Cash App. And I guess that's it. Hey, everybody, please do me a favor. Hit the share button on this. Even if you're listening to this right now, I'm live on my Podbean, live on there right now as well. Podbean audio podcast. Go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com. Please subscribe to my podcast. It really helps. And at the same time, please go to my website and sign up for the newsletter. Oh, let me tell you one more thing. Because we see what's getting ready to come, right? We see the stuff that's coming in the future. We see this happening, right? And you ever wonder, how can you still get certain things, not everything, okay, of course, right? But there's certain things that you need, just things that you need for life, right? There's certain things that you could use that you would need for life, right? And for me, I call this shopping off the grid. That's what I call it, shopping off the grid. If you want to know what I'm talking about, get more information about it, to get away from these socialist, communist, woke companies, go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com, and just click on that link up there. If you're on a mobile device, you know, it has the 3 lines. I call it the hamburger stack, but it's just 3 lines. Okay? Click on that and click on Patriot Switch. Check it out. There's information on there that will help you switch and get away from these woke companies. But now there's some discipline in it. Okay, I would say that there's some discipline in it, but check it out. You may look. I'm doing it. I'm trying to get it as far away from these woke companies as much as possible. And one way we can do this together, go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com, and click on Patriot Switch. You'll see it right there, big as day. That's all I'm going to tell you about it, because I want you to go and check it out. There's a video there that will explain it some more, and there's people on the other end that will do it. This is connected directly with me. It's connected directly with me, or I wouldn't be doing it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the blessings. Thank you so much for not being afraid to hit the share button. Let me look one more time. 336 shares on Facebook. Thank you so much. 337. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Get out of here. See you tomorrow, everybody. Stay safe. Stay cool. Reality check.